Hey guys, today we're here. We're going to show you guys how to change the oil in a Mercury Pro XS 4-stroke. This is a 150, but this is pretty much run-of-the-mill for anything you're going to do with the Mercury 4-strokes. A couple of things you're going to need. You're going to need a pail of some sort to put the old oil in. This holds about 5.5 quarts, so you need to make sure that you have something deep enough to hold that much oil. This is the drain plug right here. But one of the things that I want you to be aware of is that you do not take this all the way out. If you thread this all the way out, you're going to cause damage to the motor, and this is not going to seal. Make sure you just loosen this. We're going to have a 1/2 inch clear hose coming from here going down into the pan. But what we're going to do an extra step today that most people don't do. We're going to hook up some muffs to this engine. We're going to run some water through it. We're going to start the engine, let it get up to operating temperature. That way we can actually have the water or the oil flow out of here a little bit better. I just find that if the oil is going to come out a little bit better, it's not as viscous, if you will. It's not as thick, so it's going to come out a little bit better. Obviously, don't get it so hot that you're going to burn your hands. We're going to run it up, get it a little bit warm, then we'll show you guys the rest of the steps. Got a piece of 1/2 inch, just clear tube here. You just want to get this thing out of here and into your tube. We're not putting this on the ground, obviously. We have this pan here. 5/8 inch wrench. Forgot my wrench, so this is going to be kind of a really tough to do, but it's 5/8. So I'm going to try to loosen this thing up a little bit and try to put this on here and unscrew it the rest of the way with my hands. But again, this doesn't come all the way out. If you bring this thing all the way out, or you try to bring it all the way out, you're going to cause damage to the motor, and this will not seal. So make sure that when you crack this thing open, that you're just loosening it a little bit and letting the oil flow. You're going to let all the oil flow out. It's going to be about 5.5 quarts. There is a dipstick up here that if you pull this out, it's going to give you some airflow to let the air flow through, or the oil flow through there. I'm going to leave that on there because, again, I don't have a wrench. I got this socket, so I'm going to try to get this on here. We're going to let it drain. We're then going to change the oil filter after it gets all done. One of the steps with an oil filter, just like any other oil change on the planet, make sure you put oil back on the seal of the oil filter. Tighten it down until it's hand tight. You don't need to crank it down on there too much because it's going to do damage also. So we're going to let the oil drain out. We're going to change the oil filter, and then we're going to tighten this back up, put the 5.5 quarts back in there, and that's basically it, guys. So we're going to finish doing this, and I'll show you guys at the end the final result. Are you recording? Mm-hmm. So guys, I got my 1/2 inch hose on here. Again, I'm just going to loosen this up. There we go. You got oil flowing. Again, don't over loosen this. From what I read and what I understand, it's okay if the oil is black coming out. This motor has less than 80 hours on it, so it's not a ton of hours on here. So we're going to let this thing finish draining. There's not I don't want to bore you to death here, but the deal is, it's going to take a while for this to drain out. Again, I feel like it's going to drain out a little bit quicker because it's a little bit warmer. We did start the engine and let it run a little bit. We're going to let this drain all the way out, and then while we're letting this drain out, we're going to change the oil filter. But if you don't let this drain all the way, you're going to have a mess with the oil filter as well, because it's going to have some oil still left in it. So we're going to let this drain out. One of the things you don't want to see in this is metal shavings of any type. So if you do see that, you're definitely going to want to consult your either Mercury Marine or your local mechanic, because you're going to have some internal damage. But right now it's fairly black, but it's not too bad. Oil filter, took the other one off. Obviously, it's not a rocket surgery here. If you've done an oil change on any other vehicle before, you've done this before. But one of the biggest things that people forget to do all the time is to lube up this seal. I like to use new oil. I guess it really wouldn't matter if you didn't use new oil, but you definitely need to put a little bit of lubrication on the the new oil filter seal. Just lets it seal better, obviously, and gives it a better seat. So make sure you get oil all over the seal there. Don't spill the new oil. Definitely want to make sure you're not cross-threading this. So it's hand tight. I'm gonna go a little bit further than hand tight. Pretty good there. You don't have to really crank that thing down. So we definitely need to close this thing down here. So again, I'm just gonna tighten this up by hand. This thing's been draining for about an hour, just for the fact that we needed to go get an oil filter wrench. So you can still see this dripping a little bit. Not super imperative that you're not going to get every drop of oil out of this thing. So get as much as you can out. Make sure you tighten this thing up. Do not over tighten this. Again, do not fully extend it all the way out. Do not strip it going the other way. So I'm going to pull this off here, tighten it up, and then we're going to put 4 or 5.5 quarts in the top side up there, and then this job will be all but over. Again, these engines hold 5.5 quarts of oil. We're using the Quicksilver kit here. It's a 10W30. From all of my research, which is very little, to be honest with you, because I don't own a Mercury. I have an Evans screwed, I meant Rude. Quicksilver is a Mercury brand. Matter of fact, if you look here on the back, it says recommended by Mercury. So they make an actual Mercury kit that's like this. It says Mercury on the side. It's actually more expensive. Probably the same oil, just branded with that. So again, Quicksilver, again, you can see right there on the back of that, it says that it's recommended by Mercury Marine. So 5.5 quarts in there. I'm gonna check the oil, make sure that it is in the operating range. Seals work really well. It is in the operating range. We're going to check it one more time. Maybe put a hair more in there. Yep, could use just a hair more probably. But guys, so that does it here for the change of the 4-stroke Mercury oil. Very easy process. Recommend you learning to do it yourself. It's going to save you some cash in the long run. Again, Quicksilver, recommended by Mercury. You can buy the Mercury stuff. It's like $50, $60 more expensive. Probably the same oil. I'm going to put a little bit more oil in this thing, guys, and we're going to wrap it up. So if you guys enjoyed this episode of On Another Line, showing you guys how to make the most use and of your, making sure your stuff lasts as long as possible by saving yourself some dough, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I appreciate it. You guys know the routine. If you guys can, get out there and lean on them. We'll see you next time on Another Line.